general nerdery.
So I've been going to the water more to get out of this heat wave that we have going on. It's been hanging out at like, oh, it's only 95 today. It feels pretty good. But did day at the river near my house. I was like, why don't I do this more? And then the next day went to Flathead Lake, which is a lake, if you're not from Missoula, Montana, about 60 miles-ish from here. I was like, yeah, this is great. There's no downside to this. I have managed to like sunbake my brain so hard from just hanging out on the water that I'm amazed that I'm getting these words out right now, to be 100% honest with you. So, especially if I mix up names or anything later on, that's why. It's totally not because I have the brain of a potato anyways. It's
That reminds me, I will bring up notes in front of me before we actually get to talking about the show so I know people's names.
yeah. Not many actors I know in this one.
Right, like one I know.
I'm like, oh, I know you from that thing.
Oh, like two I know, never
Two
mind.
I know from that thing, and then
Three?
Fielding. But
Yeah.
anyways, welcome to General Nerdery, your podcast about liking things. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Just us today. Just Zach.
It feels weird, right?
It is very strange.
But we'll get through it together.
Since we did it for so long, and now I'm like, what's happening? Anyways, before all that, though, what have we been ingesting?
Like a bit, I guess. It's been a minute. Hasn't it been a minute?
It's been about a month since we last recorded.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's things I wanted to bring up that I'm going to forget to, but like, Elden Ring,
The
Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion.
It dropped like last week?
It dropped on the 21st last month.
Okay, so about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
A little over. 3 weeks ago. I'm way off.
3 weeks ago.
Time
yeah.
does not exist anymore.
But like that whole I took time off the week it came out, partially so I could play it more, but partially because I knew that was going to be slightly busier than normal. So even though I ended up having like almost an entire week off, I got to play it like 2 of those days. It's been basically this past weekend where I've went super hard into it, and like I did beat like 3 or 4 bosses yesterday. Like you showed up and I beat another boss.
Yeah, you killed a sunflower in front of me.
Yeah, fuck that sunflower. No, not as much as fuck Commander Gaius. That was the one that's taken the longest so far. It was this dude on a giant warthog.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds bad.
And a lance. And in like the second half of his fight, they would sometimes jump up in the air and do these giant gravity attacks. It was legitimately like when pigs fly, I thought I was gonna win. Took a long fucking time.
Well, you sent that warthog flying.
Yeah, asshole. What else? Finished the newest season of Outlaws last night. That was the Stephen Merchant, Christopher Walken, British crime dramedy.
Yes, you were telling me about that.
This new season might be their best. They kind of
have been pretty high praise all through, so
I really like. So this one is definitely the one with the least amount of Christopher Walken, unfortunately, because I have a feeling he was probably filming Dune at the time.
yeah, he had to go.
Also, he's an old man. Like
he's an old man living in a desert. So,
but this one they switched up the formula a little bit, and maybe for the better. It definitely made things more tense and a lot more awkward as to how they were going to work out. The things were set up, especially because of the way that season 2 ended, so that one of the main characters wasn't as trustworthy anymore. And so when things pop off in the 3rd season, instead of knowing exactly what's all going on and just sort of like the tension being like, when is this party going to find out this? When is these people going to find out that? Like, how is this going to come to a head? Because it's got to at some point. This one, there was a part where you don't know the truth for a good portion of the season. And it involved a character that you care about by this point.
yeah, it's always rough.
Liked how they handled it. It was interesting. Really good, and I'm curious how it's gonna continue. Not in a way like how could you continue it, but just like this
Mhm.
is because you could, I don't know, you could arguably write a couple characters out at this point pretty easily.
And it's a British show, so
That
they might.
happens. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens all the fucking time. I've watched multiple shows that do not have the same cast by the final season, which is always kind of weird.
It's a very love-hate thing. You kind of need at least a few characters to be like the follow through.
Mm-hmm. I was more excited to bring this up until some of the recent news, but like watch through Dead Boy Detectives and it's great.
Yeah. If you haven't heard, Neil Gaiman has been accused of, let's go with improper behavior.
Yeah. You know what? That really bums me out. I'd rather not get into it right now, but like,
I read just enough to be like, I'm not gonna deal with this.
but Dead Boy Detectives is great.
Yep. I don't think it'll be enough to destroy Neil Gaiman. It does tarnish him, and he was one of the people that we were really attached to because, anyways, we're not going into it. I'm sorry. I just had that, like, I've not brought this up to Cece because it's her favorite author, and I, like, don't want to. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
No,
I don't have much else to say because of things going on right now.
Did
But
I tell you
I will say that like that show is fantastic.
Did I tell you my mom texted me about Dead Boy Detectives?
Uh-uh.
So my mom, for years, was like, why are you reading comic books still? Like, what's, you know, she gave me my first comic books and showed me Star Wars for the first time and got me into Star Trek and had a Doctor Who thing at home that made me, like, she made me the fucking nerd that I am. But my mom, God love her, has some, like, old school, like, nerd versus cool guy opinions that she's never quite outgrown. And so she's like, why are you, no. And she's gotten better, but like, no, don't be nerd, be cool boy, be motorcycle man. I'm like, I do that too.
Yeah.
Like,
but that is also a thing.
But I'm also listening to my murder podcasts while riding down the highway yesterday. Like, but she has started to kind of get into some of the stuff, mostly because of Netflix adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
So she was, a while back, she'd been like, have you heard of this Sweet Tooth?
Which there's a new season of that I have to watch
It's
too.
supposed to be really good. She's like, I kind of want to watch that or read some of that. And I was like, here's the compendium. Like, here's all of it.
Be warned, the comic is darker.
Yeah, this is not the same thing, but go for it. But then I think she thought that I could just magically do the same thing with Dead Boy Detectives.
Mm.
She's like, do you have any of those Dead Boys? And I was like, okay, I actually do know what you're talking about. Like, you do make me sound like John Wayne Gacy in the process. But Dead Boy Detectives is not Sweet Tooth. There is not just the one story. They first appeared in a Sandman, so they're in a couple issues of that, and then they had a little mini series, and then someone else wrote a different mini series, and I was like, Mom, this one is not for you. Like, I was like, they have kind of been collected, but not really. And then it's not a through line story, but they will be releasing a thing like collecting what has been. She's like, okay, I'll just wait for the compendium, and clearly did not know what.
Right.
She just knew that I had handed her the Sweet Tooth compendium before.
Well, it is good.
Good.
And I'm trying to think, there was something else. Oh, God, cause I can't believe I almost forgot because I've been putting so many hours into listening to it. As listeners know, like, I have been listening to MF Doom almost nonstop since he died.
Yeah.
So I was lately informed that there's a podcast called Dissect that goes in deep dives into like song lyrics, and their season 12 is all about MF Doom's most heralded album, Mad Villainy.
Is that the one that has bits of like Aqua Teen in it?
That's Mouse in the Mask.
Okay, that's the one I've listened to the most.
Yeah, that's also the one I've listened to the most. Like Mad Villainy is by like far and away his most heralded album. Mouse and the Mask is my favorite album.
Sure.
I fucking love that album. But like we're talking like 40-minute to an hour episodes on almost every song, breaking down the lyrics bar by bar.
Oh, so this is crack to you.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. I will say there's a couple times where I'm like, that sounds like a reach. And there's also been a couple times where I'm like, I feel like you missed something there. But
the amount that I feel like people scream both of those things at our podcast is like...
but like a couple times each for like hours of shit so far that I've listened to.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic. I don't know. It's just set up really well researched. The first couple episodes actually like set up and like are a little bit more of like a biography rather than going into like the details of the songs.
That actually is a really good way to go about that, because you kind of need the context of the artist to really like...
Mad Villainy is like, it depends exactly how you want to count it, but like basically like his third or fourth album. So they do like one episode that's kind of like a biography, one episode that goes into his first album, Operation Doomsday, and how like the MF Doom persona took off, because the biography one is a little bit more everything pre-Doom. And then there's like a bonus episode if you want to do a deep dive on one of the songs off of, or like some of the favorite lyrics of the podcasters off of Operation Doomsday. And then it starts getting into the song by song off of Mad Villainy. They do skip some songs. There's a couple I wish they wouldn't have skipped, but most of the ones they skip, I kind of get it. Like, there's one where the guy straight up says, like, cool, so the next song is America's Most Blunted. There's not really anything to get into, because it's them rapping about weed.
That's it. That's the depth.
That's the depth. They do take an extra 5 minutes on that, though, just to talk about the fact that Madlib used something like 14 different sample sources to create the beat for that song.
Okay.
And that's the other neat thing. Like, it's not just bar by bar breakdowns. Like, Madlib is like crazy famous for creating beats out of samples. So almost every one of the songs they go into, they also go into like where the samples came from, how a lot of those actually tie thematically into the song, and sometimes into the music theory as to like why this loop actually works the way it does. Yeah, it's fucking crack for me. It's been amazing. I need to finish it off soon. I kind of got distracted from it with Elden Ring this weekend, but that's been the major things, though, I would say. I feel like I'm still missing something that I put a lot of time into, but...
Anytime we've not talked for a month about this kind of stuff, that it's just the nature of the beast. Let's see. So, part of the reason that we didn't talk for a month is I was out for a week, because I went to Chaos Wars, which is my week-long big Belagarth event. And we had originally wanted to record the day after, just to, like, have some of that weird energy and, like, kind of talk about it a little bit as well. But I just really quickly went, I can't. I got home and I don't think I moved on Monday. Like,
which makes sense.
Legit. And I was like, oh, well, I can talk about, like, Chaos Wars during this, because I spent a week camping and partying with a bunch of people, which sounds wildly out of character for me as someone who is not a partier.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as I've been all day, like, trying to look back and like remember things to talk about for that, and it's a fucking fever dream of a week. I like trying to explain it, like, so there's weird, like, synchronicities in the Belagarth foam fighting community of... I got into wrestling unrelated to Belagarth this year.
Right.
But wrestling took off in Belagarth at the same time that I got into it.
Okay.
And part of it's just there were a few wrestling fans and already, and WWE's just been firing on all cylinders lately. So it just... But, like... We did a wrestling night basically. Like, there was a wrestling show. There's a yearly thing at Chaos Wars called the Gladiators, where it's just like an evening kind of show thing where we get admittedly young idiots to compete in stupid games.
Mm-hmm.
It does not have to be young idiots, but the dumber the game is, the higher chance of injury. So the older people are like, I'm not doing that. And that makes it sound like terrible. For the most part, it's, pick up a person, blindfold them, spin them around really hard.
Right.
And then play Marco Polo. But with, blindfolded with a bat, and they have to get people, which is a bad idea because there's a dizzy person who can't see swinging a foam stick at people, but also, like, it's not that dangerous. But the whole thing was wrestling themed, so they're like, there was a guy there dressed as Dusty Rhodes from his polka dot phase.
Nice.
I have friends who do ACL, the Armored Combat League, which is like foam fighting, but live steel, which means full metal armor, full steel. In the middle of it, they did one of their things. So I watched people in full metal armor just beat the shit out of each other. And my friends are international level competitors in this game. They've traveled to Europe to compete. I don't know how well they did, because watching that game, it's really hard to follow.
Gotcha.
Because the rule is basically like, when you're knocked over, you're out.
Okay. Interesting.
I watched a man dressed in all of that get picked up and put through a table like it was a fucking Dudley Boys competition. I was supposed to play a heel, but I was like late and tripped on my entrance, so I quickly became like the idiot heel. And because I dubbed myself the Chosen One, because I found a stupid like headband that says the Chosen One and like really bad writing.
Nice.
I had people chanting Chosen One at me for the rest of the week.
Brilliant.
It is really hard to explain how weird Chaos Wars is, because there's a like complete logic and function, and when I look back, I'm like, it was fine. It was like, I got hit in the ribs so hard with a 10-foot pole that my ribs still hurt 2.5 weeks later.
That makes sense.
I kept fighting. I made sure I wasn't going to vomit in my helmet, and I went, cool. I am like the least violent person. And then the moment I get there, I'm like, you didn't break anything. Let's keep doing. What else? Let's see.
Never let them know you're hurt.
Jesus Christ. I was like, are you hurt or are you injured? Literally, that thought went through my head and I got back up. Holy crap, it hurt, though. Oddly, how bad it hurt didn't really settle in until, like, I got back from Chaos Wars and went,
oh, that still hurts.
I was like, oh my god, I can't actually lie on my side. like,
why does that still hurt? Oh, that's right.
Let's see. What else have I done? I watched Money in the Bank for the first time live, which is... I don't remember. Was Money in the Bank around when you were watching wrestling?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Money in the Bank is a ladder match, a 5-person ladder match, where to win, you have to climb up the ladder and pull down the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh, I guess that had probably started around the time I was falling off, because I remember it wasn't called Money in the Bank. It was just like a briefcase match.
Yeah, they made it a whole thing.
Okay.
Whoever wins the briefcase can enter at any time. They just need a referee and the briefcase. They can enter for a belt challenge at any point in the next year.
Okay. So
there can be a huge match going on between two people, and then you just show up and you're like, now it's a 3-way match. Or Drew McIntyre won against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and he held the belt for exactly 5 minutes. Because right when he was done celebrating and getting ready to, like, leave, Damian Priest shows up, turns in the briefcase, steals the belt from him. So, like, it's not uncommon to be like, yes, I barely won. I can barely fucking oh, fuck. So, it's fun. It is the first, like, there were some good stuff. Both of the ladder matches, because there's a men and a women's division, are insane. And ladder matches are the ones that I really enjoy watching, but I'm always like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, right.
The way that you bounced off that ladder, there's no way that didn't legit hurt. Like,
A lot.
A lot. It is an injury-prone thing.
Are you hurt or are you injured?
Both, based off the history of ladder
Shit, right,
matches.
ugh.
Like, oh, you're gonna fucking powerbomb someone off of the top of this 10-foot ladder? That's a bad idea. But it was the first time that I've watched a live pay-per-view event. I guess they call them PLE now.
Okay.
Premium live event, because it's no longer pay-per-view because it's just on Peacock.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it's the first time that I was like unhappy with the show. There were some good stuff, but they made a couple decisions that I was like, well, you just ruined the momentum of your own show here, which is frustrating. Like, just a match ending that I didn't like, and was like, wow, this is... I've not really had that while watching stuff before, so it was interesting to be like, that really sucked the air out of the room. Like, watching it go, huh, okay, I now have a new thing on my, like, wrestling bingo card.
Right.
Oh, other stuff I gotta do at Chaos Wars. Got a Judge a Chili competition, which was fantastic.
Okay.
Cannot believe they let me do that just because I went, yes, I will let me judge your chili cook-off. And they let me. The wild thing about Bellacarth is because I've been playing forever, I will just say things and people will do them and they should not. I have won fights because I went, give me your sword. And they went, what? Like, this was dumb. Now I have your sword. Like, got to try what someone dubbed Norwegian chili, which is the worst thing I've ever eaten.
You're gonna have to give more than just Norwegian chili.
You know, so like we had like a couple of good chilies, and like that one's really like they didn't skim the fat off enough, but it was because it was like a chorizo chili, and that was really good. And this one is like a taco themed chili, and like it went too far taco, but it would make a fucking bomb ass burrito. Like, yeah, exactly, but it's still chili. Like Norwegian chili, I'm like, I'm interested. And I ate it. I'm like, I am no longer interested.
So what made it Norwegian?
Too much allspice.
Okay.
And red cabbage.
Gotcha.
And like, it did not it wasn't chili. It was just a bad mix of flavors. And this guy was purposely bombing it just to see like, all right, I'm going to throw words together and see if I can make it. And he could not.
Okay.
There was
noted.
Grading of 1 through 5 with 25, 5 judges.
Okay, yeah,
max. He scored a 5. And we were pretty open that he only scored that high because 0 wasn't a listed option. Everyone else ran between 18 and 20 points. It was a close competition.
What won?
It was called Smoky Chili, which was he burned the shit out of the bottom of his chili pot and just like worked to kind of work. He did that early on, so he had time to kind of work around it. We're like, this would have been like a perfect score chili if it wasn't for the fact that you obviously scorched the shit out of this and spent like 3 hours fixing it. But it's still a bomb-ass fucking chili.
Nice.
And honestly, it was just the most straightforward chili is why it worked. Vegan chili took second place, which I wasn't expecting, but it was a very good vegan chili. And then let's see, of actual like reading stuff, I've been catching up on a lot of the superhero comics that I had like fallen behind on. So, catching up on Doctor Strange, catching up on like Green Arrow. I finally sat down and read Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is one of DC's more recent big events, which I'd read some of the stuff after it, but I hadn't read I don't read a lot of event books anymore.
Yeah.
But I really like Joshua Williamson, who is the writer of that series. He's probably DC's second best writer right now.
You give him number 1, Tom King?
No.
Jed McKay?
No, Jed McKay's at Marvel.
Oh, that's right. Fuck.
Tom Taylor, who's Nightwing and did Suicide Squad recently, and yeah. He's so fucking... It's pretty much his Nightwing run that has me at number 1. Although his Titans book was really good as well. Um, thank God Josh Williamson is so good at small character moments because admittedly Dark Crisis's plot was bizarre and nonsensical. And it's basically, do you remember Pariah from the original Crisis?
Yeah.
Pariah is a character who was basically cursed by the Anti-Monitor. Like, for reasons that I do not remember, is cursed to show up to watch different universes be destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
In,
Also, don't remember why.
Not important. He mostly stood there and cried a lot in a puffy shirt.
Yes.
He has gone insane and accidentally tapped into the Great Darkness from, like, the Alan Moore whatever.
Well, that's not good.
And is trying to somehow use the heroes of the Prime DC universe and destroy that universe to recreate the multiverse, the Infinite Earths, in the hopes of getting his back. And he thinks that he's being controlled by the Great Darkness to, like, destroy everything, but really he's just gone insane and is actually, like, warping the Great Darkness with his own mind, because Great Darkness isn't good or evil. It's just basically the primordial concept of darkness. Like, the story makes no sense, but it's got some really great character moments in between making no sense that made up for it enough that I'm, like, glad I read the book. Had cool moments, had some great stuff, really set up the DC universe for some fun moments going forward. It's not as bad as Wonder Woman 84, but it made me think of when we did our Wonder Woman 84 episode, and we're like, had a lot of fun watching the movie, and the moment we started talking about it, went, this movie is nonsense. And then I read all of, I guess, what is like the first part of Jed McKay's Moon Knight run, which is the first 5 volumes collected. It's like the first 25, 30 issues, which I had read all of them before. I've been a fucking convert of his Moon Knight run. He made me like Moon Knight. And I'd always been kind of iffy on Moon Knight, other than I really liked the Warren Ellis run. And reading him, I went, oh no, this character kicks ass. I just didn't like the run that I started with.
Right.
It's interesting. I think I mentioned this to you off air. You could take that storyline, take out the superheroes, and put in the Dresden universe, and you would have to change nothing.
I'm down with that.
Because the plot line is Moon Knight is the priest and right hand, the fist, of an insane Egyptian god that has been locked away by the other gods. But he still, even though he knows his god is unworthy of worship, is still called to be the priest of that god and protect those who travel at night. And is just hanging out in New York, being a, like, priest / superhero, running his midnight mission, just helping whoever comes to ask him for help. But he's also, like, fighting a vampire pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Or, like, an insane supervillain that's decided that Moon Knight is best because he's insane, so he has to drive him more insane. He becomes buddies with Doctor Strange's wife, who was serving as the Sorcerer Supreme for a while, even though Doctor Strange fucking hates Moon Knight, like, openly, but he's like, but Clea kicks ass. Like, it really does follow some of the lines of, like, up through, what is it, Changes, where he dies?
Yeah.
Dresden. It kind of has some of that arc, like, not following the same way. He's not Dresden. He would just fit in the Dresden universe. And surprising no one, because Moon Knight is a character that dies fucking constantly. Like, it's a part of his thing. And they actually examined that the Fist of Khonshu dies, and then Khonshu brings them back to life. But they slowly go more and more insane the more they die, and eventually Khonshu has to retire them because they've become just shells of who they were. But because he's been locked away, they can't come back.
Okay.
like Mark can't come back. So
Right.
it ends with him dying. And I think he's already alive again, which is
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I saw something about him being alive again.
which is frustrating because the first volume of the follow-up series about the new Moon Knight hasn't even like a few issues have come out, but like the first collected edition hasn't even come out yet. I get that characters are going to die and come back. It's Marvel. It's superheroes. They need to be dead for a year. A year, minimum. Anyways.
You did remind me of the one other thing.
Yeah, hit me.
Because you had mentioned you had read it before, and I was like, oh yeah, watching and rewatching. I didn't mention it because I'd already mentioned it to you off air, but I want to mention it on air. Fucking Shoresy Season 3 is fantastic. I've watched it like 20 times already.
I am not going to get to it because I'm going to watch wrestling, because the way last week's wrestling episode, Rhea's back, was a fucking banger, and I have to know what happens. But probably tomorrow I will watch Shoresy Season 3.
So there's one thing I want to mention. Just because the end of season 2 didn't make it clear what order things happen in. So I will say there is a small time jump, but it's not one that wrecks what we were getting excited for.
It's not a full year long time jump, like...
No, we don't. So the national senior tournament happens after the no-show tournament.
Okay, so
we
skip over
skip
the
no-show to get to the national senior.
That's fine. I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Like, we expected there to be a time jump of some kind. Just we were really hoping it would not be Shoresy Season 2's intro that skips over everything we thought Shoresy Season 2 was going to be in the first scene, plus an extra like 6 to 8 months.
Right. No, so like, and that's the thing. I was only taken by surprise for a second because I didn't realize what order things were happening in.
Shoresy really depends on you understanding hockey more than I understand hockey. At least Ted Lasso had a main character who also didn't know shit about soccer.
I wanna make sure I know who these guys are for sure, but I will also say it's the first season not directed by Kiso and Tierney.
Yeah, because Tierney's not involved at all this season, and I couldn't figure out...
Yeah, I don't know what's...
I think he's got a new project going on, so I am hoping it's just he got an opportunity to do something and he wanted to change it up after 100 episodes of Letterkenny and 2 seasons of Shoresy.
So if I remember right, the directors on this season were... I don't remember if they were like ADs on Goon, but I know that they were involved with Goon. I want to say that they were like stunt doubles and all sorts of shit. So like the hockey is a lot more front and foremost on this. And you can also kind of tell the difference in the directing style. And it's not a bad difference. They include some of the like signature shots, you know, like the static, like camera panning back.
Yeah, he
That's
loves
something that
that
doesn't,
shot.
something that obviously didn't ever actually happen. You know what I mean? That captures like the emotion of the moment. There's still a couple of those, but the rest of it feels different, but not in a bad way. I kind of dig it and hope they get to keep directing.
You kind of have to feel the change if you're going to take Jacob Tierney, because he directed every episode of this entire universe before this. So like it would be weird if you couldn't feel the difference.
Oh yeah, so it's brothers Sean and Dan Skeen that were directors on this season, and they were stuntmen and extras both on this show and in Goon.
I don't know Goon.
Goon was a hockey comedy starring Sean William Scott.
Oh, I do know that one. Okay. God, that was a long time ago. Good for them.
Yeah, that's all I needed to say, though. Shoresy Season 3 is fantastic.
We will be doing an episode on it sooner than later. Like, we know roughly what the next 2 episodes we're doing are. I would not be surprised if we didn't watch Shoresy within the next like 5.
Oh, and it ends, the very end of the season ends with something very exciting.
I've been spoiled on it, but we're not going to spoil it here. Yep. But on that note, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we will talk about a similar length of show, but very different.
Yes.
So we don't know this for sure, but we're agreed that this show exists because Apple TV wanted that, like, good Our Flag Means Death press, yes?
Like, you have to imagine that's the case, because this feels almost exactly like if you had just continued the first 3 episodes of Our Flag Means Death before it suddenly turned into a completely different show. Not a bad thing.
Yes,
we both love
I
Our
find,
Flag Means Death, but
I find this less uncomfortable than the first 3 episodes of Our Flag Means Death.
right, because that was still a little bit more of like the old school Office vibe, where it was a little bit cringe.
Yes, this is surprisingly not, like, I was expecting this show to be more cringe, but it's mostly just wholesome.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so if you are not aware, the completely, what is this? I get this.
The completely made up adventures of Dick Turpin.
Get that name wrong every time. Starring Noah Fielding, who I mostly know from the fucking old Greg.
So yeah, I feel like most people these days know him from Great British Bake Off.
Sure, but I stopped watching after the original 2 left, and I've just never got around to getting back into it.
And then yeah, like Mighty Boosh and IT Crowd are going to be the big 2.
I forgot he was an IT Crowd.
Right, well, because there's a couple things where I'm pretty sure like half of the fucking Warlock's lines are references to Noel Fielding's other fucking.
That would make sense.
Because one of the first things he calls him is a weird goth.
So I am not usually a fan of Noel Fielding. Like, I remember anytime I've watched stuff with him, I'm like, you are talented. You are, like, clearly capable, but your humor is not my humor. So I was not sure how I was going to feel about this show. But I was willing to try it because, 1, I just love a period drama. 2, I love putting comedy into period dramas or fantasy or anything like that. Like, swords and comedy go well, surprisingly well together.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big enough fan that I can quote it like a lot of other people I know, but I fucking love me some Mighty Boosh. I have maintained for years that if something ever happened in my life where I got so famous that I had to check into hotels under a pseudonym, it would be Vince Noir, which is his character from the Mighty Boosh.
But anyway, sorry, yes. Noel Fielding playing Dick Turpin, who is a real-life famous highwayman, who I realized while watching this, literally everything I know about Dick Turpin is thanks to Sir Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I know very little about him, and I was hoping you were going to come with more information and kept myself in the dark.
I kind of meant to, and then I forgot to. But, so Dick Turpin, famous highwayman, his most famous thing was he was wanted, I assume for being a highwayman. It might have been for a specific murder. And he was famous for saying, pray for me, lads, for I ride this night to London. And it was like an insane amount to expect to ride in a single night.
200 mile.
Was never, I don't think he was ever caught for that, or was caught later. But I only really know him because in Good Omens, or I first learned about him, in Good Omens,
yes, same.
his car is named Dick Turpin. And he keeps trying to get people to ask why his car is named Dick Turpin. It's one of the better, like, running gags in a book and show that are just chock full of incredible running gags. And then in a Terry Pratchett book that most people haven't read, but is one of my favorites, called Dodger, which honestly could be made into this style of show and, like, work perfectly because it is a period fiction starring a bunch of real-life people in a scenario that absolutely did not happen. Like, Charles Dickens is a major character in Dodger. And it is definitely implied that the character Dodger is the inspiration for the Artful Dodger from
Oh, okay.
Charles Dickens. What is that? That's it's the poor boy one.
Oliver
Oliver Twist. Yes.
Oliver is the musical.
Yeah. What? You want more?
More?
I just think of that guy every time. I know there's a whole other musical around it, and it's just that one guy's performance. But in that one, he has the character of Dodger has a whole thing. He's asked if he's ever heard of Dick Turpin, and he's like, yes. And his entire story's bullshit. He definitely lied to someone he knew who would, like, rat him out, shaved his beard off, or, like, changed his hair, and hid out in a different part of the city where no one would pay attention to him because they're all running to London. All I really know about Dick Turpin is he's a famous highwayman that Terry Pratchett must have some fondness for because he keeps coming up. He's also a significant part of British legend at this point. Like, What's interesting to me of this show is that as much as I like the show, as much as it stands on its own, we have done nothing but compare it to other shows anytime that I've talked about it with you or with Cece, who watched it all with me. I think that in a lot of ways, this is a like really fantastic adaptation of Discworld without in any way being a Discworld adaptation. Like, something about the mood of it and the way that they converse and the way that you keep expecting an action scene to happen and instead it just like veers in a weird direction.
Yeah.
Also, because Sir Terry Pratchett was obsessed with like not medieval history, but Britain after medieval history. You know, this is definitely before the Victorian era, but is still post-Renaissance, pre-Victorian era, which is a period of history that America does not know shit about, but is a huge part of European history.
There's something I'm wondering if you noticed, and I guess it kind of ties into the overall feel of the show because it involves one of the writers. Did you happen to notice the names of the writers of episodes 2 through 6? The first episode is written by show creators Claire Downs, Ian Jarvis, Stuart Lane, and with some input from Noel Fielding. But episodes 2 through 6 are written by John Brattain and Richard Naylor. If Naylor sounds somewhat familiar, it's because he is the son of...
Okay, I was going to say, I know it's not the Red Dwarf guy, but that is where my name recognition goes, because it's
Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. It is Doug Naylor's kid.
Talented family. Doug Naylor is the one that did not stay with the show. I don't remember. It's not that important.
Oh God, yeah, I don't know.
But the other shows I keep comparing this to, although I can see a bit of Red Dwarf in it now. Probably not on purpose, but like something about this like weird little cast just kind of mundane shit all the time.
Yeah.
You were the one, I think, that compared it. It's somewhere between Our Flag Means Death and Miracle Workers.
Yep.
Which is... what a high quality, like, broadband to be put on. And the show that it made me think of after I finished watching it is Blackadder.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit Blackaddery, isn't it?
It lacks the, like, biting wit and cynicism of Blackadder. And it doesn't make me cry at any point, like the way the Blackadder sometimes did. But like, maybe it's just because this is like absolutely an era that they would put a Blackadder.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did. I'm not 100% sure on my timeline, but Blackadder the Third could easily have been in this era.
Yeah. When is Dick Turpin? 1700s, early 1700s.
Okay, so I'm off by about a century, but like the 1700s was a weird time for British history.
Yeah, so let me see. I'll name off who else is in this besides Noel Fielding, since we've already said his name enough times to
yeah.
summon him if he was the Rattle Hag.
Hey, that'd be great. He could sit down.
Yeah.
I would love to hear his take on this show.
Dwayne Bochy as Honesty Barebone.
That is the insane one.
Yep.
Okay.
Ellie White as Nell
Love
Frazier. Mark Wooten as Moose Pleck. Dolly Wells as Eliza Bean. Mark Heap as John Turpin. Jeff McGivern as Lord Alistair Rookwood. Joe Wilkinson as Jeffrey the Jailer. Hugh Bonneville as Jonathan Wilde. Kiri Flaherty as Little Karen.
Loved the Little Karen. She was so funny.
Asim Chowdhury as Craig the Warlock. And Tamsin Grieg as Lady Helen Guinevere. That's going to be the main cast. There's other people that show up.
Who played the Rattle Hag?
Oh, Jessica Hines as the Rattle Hag.
So Jessica Hines and the guy who played his dad were on the show Spaced together.
Yes.
Back in the day. And that made me really happy because it was driving me nuts that I could not figure out where I knew the dad from.
Right. And then the episode with what was his name? Leslie. The other highwayman.
Mm-hmm.
That's Greg Davies, and I was like, oh, he's from fucking In-Betweeners, which I've watched 5 million times.
Have you seen Spaced?
Yes.
Okay. Highly recommend Spaced. It's on my list of like we should do an episode of it sometime forever. If you do decide to watch Spaced, the first 2 episodes are pretty bad. In my memory, at least. I know some people liked them, but like I remember just finding it really like awkward and forced, but they had to set up the characters in a way that like once we had the characters and we knew who everyone was, everything was placed, we were good from there. And Spaced became one of my favorite shows of all time.
And Benny is played by Michael Fielding, who is in Mighty Boosh.
And I'm assuming he's a brother or something.
I think so. Half brother.
Oh, cool. How do we want to tackle this show?
Episodes? I mean, there's only 6 episodes.
Sure, we can do that pretty fast.
Number 1, A Legend is Born, sort of. Dick gets fired from being a butcher by his dad.
It's honestly, like, I'm trying to think about it. This is a really strong, just like, setup episode.
A lot happens in the 30 minutes of this episode.
That happens a lot in like every episode of this show. Keeps feeling like it's about 15 minutes longer than it is. But I was just impressed with how much they fit into it without feeling rushed.
Right, because like he gets fired from being a butcher.
He accidentally kills, kind of.
Well, he gets recruited into doing that job for the gang.
Yeah, gets recruited into a highwayman gang. Pretends to be a man from the future to try to rob this stagecoach. Accidentally kills
the leader of the
gang. And even then, he doesn't actually, like, accidentally kill him. He doesn't have anything to do with it. He just rolls with it, which I kept expecting to come back around.
No, he was smart enough to just roll with it.
Yeah, but like I kept expecting that someone to realize that he didn't actually kill him, to have that come forward. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going to be like a big end of season reveal, and then they just skipped past it, which is fine. I mean, they can do it later, or they can not go that really obvious route. Gets recruited into this gang as the leader of the gang because 2 of the 3 gang members think he's the greatest man who ever lived.
And then finds out that the local law enforcement is bent and is tried to pressure into taking the same deal that his predecessor had. That makes it sound a lot more serious than the show is.
Throughout all of this, there is a through line of he is about to be hanged, and he is telling his story to a true crime writer writing a pamphlet about Dick Turpin, which is how the Dick Turpin story becomes
legendary.
famous, and her pamphlets have him way more serious and capable than the dipshit that Dick Turpin is. That said, so I was thinking about this because Dick Turpin is a dipshit in this one, and he honestly has a whole lot of similarities to Steed on paper, like Steed from Our Flag Means Death. He is in charge of a gang of criminals that he should absolutely not be in charge of, and he is slowly kind of turning them into good people just by being himself. But the characters themselves...
And wants to do this profession in his way, which is a lot fancier.
But the characters themselves, like when you look at that, you're like, oh, it's just a cheap Steed knockoff. They don't present the same, despite having like the same list. Steed is awkwardly incompetent in a lot of cases, or just awkward. I don't know, I don't find Dick awkward. He's weird, but he's like, I find watching
I feel like
all
he's
of Dick
more
Turpin,
capable, right?
yes, and I find him more relaxing. As a quick note, because we're comparing the two shows, and I'll try not to do that all the time, but it's kind of hard not to when discussing.
They're so fucking similar. They have such the same vibe too, until it turns into Gay Pirate Show.
I was gonna say Our Flag has way more of a message of it. This show is still like,
it's fun.
it's fun. It is at least relatively pro-queer. Not that it's not pro-queer, it's just not the like through line message of this show. It's not a big gay romance.
Anytime it comes up, they're obviously pro.
Yes, but
But it's not the Gay Pirate Show.
yeah, exactly. There is a joke in this of like Moose wants to wear a dress and he makes him a dress, and I was kind of cringy preparing for them to make jokes about it, and they don't really. Like,
No, it's just Moose wears a dress.
Moose wears a dress and he's happy about it, and it's like kind of funny how like over the moon he is about it, but it's never a joke about a man who, like, at the expense of a man wearing a dress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy, and like I remember a few years ago people starting to really kind of turn on drag for a while, and not in the like drag is degenerate blah 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 like really hurtful ways, but feeling like drag was jokes at the expense of trans people, and I'm sure it absolutely can be when done poorly. But like too often, and Monty Python definitely fell for this a couple of times, the joke was, ha ha, look at that man in a dress.
Mm-hmm.
That gets really old. But you can still totally do jokes of, at least in my opinion, and who knows what my opinion is worth, of men in dresses but you can't have the punchline be, ha ha, that man is in a dress.
I was about to say it felt like the few times it was, because it past like episode like 2 or 3, it doesn't even really get brought up.
It gets brought up in the final one when he's forced to wear pants again, but it's mostly that he's just pissed that he's forced to wear pants again.
Right. It's almost that the joke becomes less like, haha, he's in a dress, and like, haha, why are you wearing something that you find uncomfortable?
Yeah, like, why is not everyone in a dress? Dresses are incredible. And you're like, Moose kind of makes a point.
Mm-hmm.
But also having, like, you expect Moose to be the big, violent heavy, because he's clearly set up to be that. But
honesty's insane.
He's the least violent person in this show, and never, like, lessened for that. He is a useless highwayman, though. Like, holy shit.
Okay,
Moose does less than anyone else.
Oh no, the useless one in this gang is Moose. Like, he's Steed in that regard.
Yeah, because Dick at least, like, makes costumes really fast and makes choices. Because Nell, who is clearly the capable highwaywoman, and
But can't make a choice for a fucking shit.
yes, she's, I guess, closest to somewhere between, like, Blackbeard and Jim.
Yeah.
And neither one of those is great, but the like actually capable pirate that is slowly being kind of won over to.
This is going to sound weird, but also maybe Fang.
Fang is the guy that was originally on Blackbeard's crew who. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Like, Nell is. Very briefly, it's a joke that no one realizes she's a woman. But it's never. It's kind of played for like that one scene, and then.
That almost felt like Bob, right?
Yeah.
Almost felt like Bob for a second.
And then they just were like rolled with it from there and like, all right, yeah, it's a woman, no one cares, everyone knows but those two, because Moose and Honesty, I keep wanting to call him Freedom, and I'm like, that's not right, are morons. Honesty's at least a capable moron, but like,
if you need something killed,
he's there for it. Nell succeeds because she's the only one that vaguely knows what she's doing in here. But again, as you said, she cannot make up her mind. She is desperate to get the approval of, like, real highwaymen. She wants to be a legend in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Honesty, who I guess if we're going to keep doing is maybe the Swede?
Yeah?
There's not a good one. The Dick and Steed are a really good one-to-one. The rest of them kind of go their own way a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going with the Swede because he is just a profoundly weird character.
Yes.
Not nearly as weird as the fucking Swede who turns into a seagull and disappeared. Wait, was that the Swede or was that... No, that was,
other dude.
Bubbles or something like that? Buttons. I want to watch Our Flag Meets Death again now. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyways. He is... You almost expect him... The first time we really hear him talk, he's like, we're still going to kill people, though, right? Like, he's super murder happy. He's here for the heists. I expected him to be more of a psychopath, but again, all of these characters are surprisingly cuddly.
Yeah. He's just the most murder hobo of them all.
Yes. This is absolutely a D&D campaign.
Yes.
He's the rogue. I guess Dick is a bard?
Yes.
Moose, I suppose, would be like a fighter, but a really poorly spec'd fighter, or... No, Moose would be a character my wife would make, who she would make a character and then completely ignore everything he spec'd for and just do whatever she thinks is interesting at the time.
We've never really seen him let loose, and he is kind of a giant. He might just be a super cuddly barbarian.
Yeah. And then Nell is another rogue or ranger.
Yeah. Ranger sounds good.
I was expecting the flashback of this first episode to again be like at the end of the season. Turns out he is just flashing back
to like
this
the week
episode.
Before. Yeah.
Like, which made me think of the fucking Clerks, the series flashback episode where they
I love that back. Episode 2 is a fucking flashback episode to things that didn't...
Yeah. Or that too, yeah.
A bunch of shit that didn't happen in episode 1, but also just episode 1.
God damn. Ends with him getting ready to be hung. And he's right that his crew, his gang, is going to save him. And I guess it's this is the place where we see Honesty be capable, because they do save him. But no one actually tries that hard to stop them either.
Yeah.
They kind of just roll with
it.
Yeah, everyone's just like, all right,
this is still exciting. We're still here to watch something.
You've watched Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah.
You know how Harley Quinn has it that, like, being a supervillain is just kind of a normal job that people can have? I get the same vibe of, like, yeah, they're a highwayman, but also, like...
Yeah, that's true. Like, this show kind of just treats highwaymen as just a job people
Yeah,
have.
he's a butcher. He's a highwayman. He's a young Karen running the pub.
Maybe that's one of the reasons I like it so much. I kind of like things that do that.
Just sort of accept it. Yeah.
Well, like, even this is a weird one, but like my one of my favorite horror movies is a horror comedy called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and it's a mockumentary where like slasher villains exist and it's just a thing that some people do.
Mm-hmm. Or your favorite Sandman bit is the fucking serial killer.
We get a serial killer convention.
Which is the
No,
most,
that's
like,
not my favorite. My
okay,
favorite
it's
is Men
one
of Good Fortune.
It's one of the ones that you
Yeah.
bring up the most often.
I do love
like,
the serial killer convention, though. I do think that that is hilarious, and I, for some reason, find ways to reference Funland, but that's only because, like, he's also referenced in, like, Widening Gyre and stuff, so.
The two characters that we haven't really mentioned here, I mean, we've mentioned them. Dick's father desperately wants him to take over as a butcher, despite him being a vegan.
Well, he wants him to take over, but, like, it's more that, like, he wishes that he was a completely different son.
Yes.
So that he could take over, because he's kind of stuck with making Benny take over, because, like, it's obviously not going to be Dick.
No, Dick Turpin, the vegan, just goes off into the world with a sewing machine and fancy purple shoes.
He made a courgette village.
And then young Karen, little Karen, I don't remember.
Yeah, little Karen.
Who is the 8-year-old who runs the local pub.
Love it.
Love
She's
her.
great.
She steals every scene that she's in. Like,
oh, when she's whining about having to fire the other children.
and I don't know why, like, it makes sense. Kids worked a lot earlier back in that era, and especially if you don't have parents, which she does not seem to have. You were left a pub, and that's what you got. I guess you're running a pub now. I know it's more complicated than that in real life, but
she's running a pub.
she kind of just serves the job of the bartender character in any show like this, but she's just happens to be 8. And weird soft spot on Dick Turpin. Like,
It's so the other thing we didn't bring up, but is kind of true, especially when you look at the effect that he has on the people around him. Like, Dick Turpin is also kind of just another Ted Lasso-ish show, and so she's May.
yeah, May's a great comparison on it of, because I was trying to think of a good bartender, and I kept being like, the bartender from How I Met Your Mother, but he doesn't have much.
She's kind of May.
She's May, yeah.
Also, the show is kind of a little bit Ted Lasso. Not as much as the other things we brought up, but like...
The Ted Lasso show is going to be a dominant show for a few years, I think. Just as, one, it keeps working, and two, like, shit's stressful right now. We kind of need heartwarming. But we're never going to do the fucking Andy Griffith show anymore. Like, we're past Leave It to Beaver. So we need some of that heartwarming, but we still need, like, a bit of weird or a bit of challenge to go with it.
Which, okay, let's get to the weird real quick and probably, like, start to go forward in some of these episodes. But, like, I didn't expect magic to be a real thing in this show.
I definitely had I definitely was like, this is kind of Discworld. Cece's like, I don't know. And then Craig showed up and she's like, okay. Like,
but also just, like, we go into episode 2 of The Unrobbable Coach, and I'm like, oh, so magic exists. Also, that's a ghost.
it is weird.
But it kind of fits the fact that we're kind of... Because we're kind of getting the story from the pamphlets, but we're at the same time getting the reality of the story of the pamphlets, if that makes sense.
Yes, but the story of the pamphlets is leading out the weird stuff. Well, and also, like...
The story of the pamphlets is leaving out the weird stuff, as in the fact that fucking Dick is offering to make cardigans for everybody. But it's leaving in the other weird stuff.
Just, I think the nature of Britain, of being this weird little island that has history dating back thousands of years, and like national heroes include literal wizards, whether or not they exist, in some ways puts magic just as like, I don't want to say a part of everyday life, but it's easier to kind of fit into stories in like British storytelling than it sometimes is in American storytelling. So I just went, yeah, okay, unrobbable coach, that makes sense. Like,
Also, yes, Dick, if Benny knows about it, then everyone does know about it, and you are just an imbecile.
no, he's not good at this.
If Benny knows about the unrobbable coach,
I kind of want more about Benny.
because Benny's also kind of a moron.
Yeah, he's just there.
Though it does
I feel
seem
like
like he's
there's more
probably a
happening,
damn good
like-
butcher.
Yeah.
He does own his own knives.
So in episode 2, at a monthly Highwayman pub night.
Love that.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. Like, there's so much room for it, and they show us the other Highwayman pubs, or not Highwayman pubs, but the other Highwayman gangs, and like, some of them are. The blueberries or whatever kind of made me think of the Polichettis from.
From Shoresy.
Yeah. But like, anytime, as we talked about here, anytime you just take an idea and put it into, it's the bar with no name from fucking Marvel,
Yeah.
and fully commit to exploring what that bit would be, there's gold to be had. It doesn't even matter what the bit is. But anyways, realizing that ever since Dick led the gang, they've become the second worst gang out of 50, because there's a fucking ranking system, they are tricked into robbing the unrobbable coach. That is a clearly haunted coach. So they try to rob it. Honesty is who's the person that grabs the treasure in the back, ends up being forced to ride the coach as the new driver in a very, I mean, there's a fucking 100 stories like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whom the one I thinking of, the pirate, the Davy Jones.
Oh, yeah. And all the while, the leader of Nell's old gang is trying to recruit her back.
Or Nell's like favorite gang.
Yeah, something like that. The top gang, right? They're the top gang, right?
Yes,
She wants to,
the
and she
number
wants
one
to be
gang.
part of the number one gang.
The
It does
show's-
seem like they have some history, though. Yeah.
They at least know each other. She
Yeah.
knows who he is. He knows who she is. This whole show is so weird to talk about because it's such an atmospheric show that, like, when we talk through it, it's
Some of this sounds a lot more serious than what it is.
and it's never at any point serious. I mean, Nell has that little like, oh, it turns out that the best gang is not always like the best place to be, but really it's the place that best fits you. You know,
Mhm.
it's such a boilerplate B plot.
Okay, this episode, I kept getting distracted because, as I've mentioned, I have watched The In-Betweeners like 5 million times, and the leader of the other gang is played by Greg Davies, who is the head of Six in that show, and I was just like, oh, hey. Oh, hey. Oh, hey.
It's 6. Even that one has like such weird, like even the serious gang has such weird side stuff though. Like there's all sorts of tests, and if you fail them, you'll be shot. But one of them was like, I'm having trouble finishing my novel. Like, help me out.
I'm having trouble finishing like my slash fic.
It's all saved by knitting because, again, part of Dick Turpin's charms is his complete, not just ignorance, but like hop, skip, and jump over the concept of gender roles. That might be kind of it. It's not so much like it's a Our Flag Means Death is an explicitly queer show. This is an explicitly fuck gender roles show.
Yeah. Yes. I'd agree with that. This one's fun. It's pretty straightforward. Like you said, they do things with the unstoppable coach.
That's what we're on. Honesty has a very traumatic episode, and we just never really
We never go into that.
it. Like,
You know what? There's probably other trauma to get to with that guy before that.
I do want to know his backstory.
And maybe not trauma, but there's other things that are bigger issues than the fact that he was trapped by the unrobbable coach.
Especially with how quickly he decides that Dick Turpin is the greatest man who's ever lived. He says that fucking a scene after him. I think Dick should be our leader. Not to be exciting, but I think he's the greatest man that ever lived.
He also thought that him going through puberty was him being cursed by a witch.
That's true. He's a very dumb man. I do love that Dick Turpin just yes, I know. I am.
3 is run wild. Episode 3 might be my favorite of the season. That's the one where he's
real quick on Unrobbable Coach, we also meet Craig the Warlock in this one.
Oh, that's right. That's in that one.
Who is a weird kind of rat-like, and I only say that because of like his weird little like giggle, shows off his front teeth a lot. Like he makes me think of a little bit Peter Pettigrew, Wormtail from Harry Potter, but in a not terrible way. Craig the Warlock is the local magic man who's definitely doing this without a license and is definitely terrible.
But not the worst.
Yes. Terrible at his job, not a bad dude.
Also kind of dumb, but not nearly as dumb as the others.
He's not honesty dumb. He's mostly just kind of inept as opposed to stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, Run Wild. This one's great.
Yeah, I think this might be my favorite episode of the season.
So
I loved Run Wild.
So after successfully stealing a bunch of gold bars, Dick goes to London to sell it and ends up being handcuffed through a series of comedic events to, I can't think of his name, the guy, the lawman of his local village.
Yeah, the thief taker.
The thief taker, who has been trying to hunt him down after he refused to work for him. After Dick refused to work for him. I used he in 2 different characters right there.
Their little bonding through the episode, their antics as they're getting away, but then also the B plot of Nell and Honesty trying to like catch up with them, and Honesty figuring out where to go through like Batman 66 style logic jumps.
But even worse.
And then the C plot of like Moose hanging out with the fucking thief taker's kid.
Yes, Moose's most successful thing is the day that he hangs out as a babysitter.
Yeah. I love this entire episode.
It's great. Everything. It's another one. The plot is so straightforward, but just the way that they do it. I mean, what is more classic than the 2 enemies literally get chained together and are forced to work together to survive an experience? Because the lawman, the thief taker, had been working for the syndicate, which is everything you would expect it to be. It is all of the crime people. And members of the syndicate have turned on him in the hopes of
taking his position?
Yes, at the beginning it's to take his position. At the end of the episode, he has lost his position and been kicked out of the syndicate and cannot do crime anymore.
Yeah.
No more crime.
He's been banned from doing
is
crime.
allowed.
Oh.
Not even light fraud? Not even a mugging. I don't know why. Maybe my favorite joke in this entire thing is Doris, the old lady.
Oh, yeah.
Because they end up in a, like... At first, it just looks like a fight pit, fucking the Sherlock Holmes movie. The Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movie has it. Like, it was just a place to have bare-knuckle brawling, but they treat it way more like wrestling in this. And at first, it's just old ladies, and we have Doris the Destroyer, who is a old woman with a giant fucking club.
So good.
And then these 2 end up having to fight a man with literal iron fists because of an unfortunate smelting accident.
And it goes exactly the way you think it would in a comedy.
That's what I'm finding hard to talk about this show. One, it is weirdly formulaic, but in ways that, like...
It's so far... The thing is, like, for every like 20 formulaic things they do, there's like a slight twist and then something you weren't expecting.
But the
But it
stuff,
also doesn't like make sense to just sit here and talk about jokes.
yes, it is sometimes the problem of talking about sitcoms on this show. Anytime we do a funny thing, it's just like, and then that gag was hilarious.
And I also didn't write down some of the ones that really stood out to me, but I remember there was a couple things every once in a while I was like, formula. Holy shit, didn't expect that. That was hilarious.
I don't think there was a bad moment in this episode.
No, like I
Just
said,
banger after banger after banger. Did not mean to quote a wrestling guy there, but I definitely just quoted Sheamus.
fucking sending his dad and Benny to be the ones like the agents at the beginning dealing with the post office. Even that was great.
Mm-hmm. I want more of, as I already said, I want more of Benny. I want more of the dad too. Like, I just think that actor, who basically plays the same character in the two things I've seen him, just that like the way that he tries to communicate is I don't know why it's funny to me. It is.
Unfortunately, it was followed up by probably the episode I cared the least for, which was the Curse of the Rattle Hag. I kind of find that episode boring. I care.
Definitely lose track in the second half.
Yeah. At a certain point, I kind of stopped caring. Although I do love the like whatever you have to say her name like
20 something times. 27.
And I found myself immediately starting to count through that episode scene.
I didn't, but that's because they say it. Okay, so Dick Turpin accidentally frees a witch. My favorite gag I think of this one is, they're like, "Oh, you don't want to do this. This is a witch," and Nell being like, "Dick, instead of having a weird bonding moment after a zany witch adventure, what if we just rob a different coach that actually has money?" They free a witch on accident. The witch turns Dick into a chicken. If they kill the witch, Dick will be a chicken forever. A mob is trying to kill the witch. They have to keep the witch alive long enough to get Dick turned back.
Capture her.
And
what was
also,
the reason why they couldn't just kill her? There was, I mean, other than the Dick chicken thing, but there was another reason for it.
If she dies, Dick is stuck as a chicken forever. Her MO is will run around as a witch, get caught, people will murder her or try and murder her, and then she uses that as her justification because of weird Deus Ex Machina witchy powers. That she can't attack innocents, but if they burn her for a witch, they're no longer innocent. So she can. This episode makes no sense the more that I look at it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the neatest thing is that the Rattle Hag is the chick from Spaced.
Mm-hmm. She does a good job. She looks like she's having a lot of fun playing the Rattle Hag.
I also like Jeffrey the Jailer, and there's more of him in this episode than most of the others.
True. Her makeup is pretty good. Like her costuming, she kind of looks like a younger version of the Queen from Willow.
Oh, you know what? You kind of just said it. She is fantastic in this episode.
Yeah.
I just don't care about the episode.
And it's hard to get as much character work in as she does with those giant fucking fang denture teeth that she has to wear. And you can tell that she is sometimes kind of struggling to talk around them because she's got giant fucking fake teeth on top of her teeth.
Yeah. But I kind of check out during the last half.
Yeah.
I honestly kind of as soon as Dick's a chicken.
Yes. I get there's some good, very stereotypical. They're trying to get Craig the Warlock to change him back. And they keep oh, now he's something else. Now he's a baby. Mm-hmm. Now he's an old man. It's a pretty standard set of jokes. It's a well-executed version of that set of jokes. They do it well.
I don't dislike it. I just kind of check out.
A lot to say about it, yeah. I feel like I'm selling this show fucking terribly.
That's fine, whatever. We've said enough times that we fucking love the show. They should get the point by now. And the last two episodes are basically a two-parter. With Tommy Silversides and Turpin time.
Yeah. Tommy Silversides was fucking great.
Dude, when he fucking busted in with the musical number, that's when I was like, oh, I think I really do like this episode quite a bit.
So, starts with Dick Turpin has become famous because of the pamphlets
Mm-hmm.
and is starting to not be there for the crimes because he's busy doing things like pamphlet signings. Also, Craig has started up a small business of taking people out on a Dick Turpin sightseeing tour that includes being robbed by Dick Turpin. Because again, similar to some of the supervillainy in Harley Quinn, it's just a thing that's accepted. So, like, all right, I came here to be robbed. I want the full Dick Turpin experience, like I read in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And a new criminal shows up, Tommy Silversides, which is a terrible fucking name,
Agreed.
who is a
Big agree.
traditionally handsome. He's Dick Turpin, but capable, is how it's presented.
Yeah, he's kind of everything that Dick touts about himself. He is also that, but better, but also a capable highwayman.
Yeah. He's charming. People like him. Nell definitely openly has a crush on him, as opposed to. People keep saying that, like, she's obviously into Dick, and I
don't see it.
I could see it developing, but they don't. Maybe because it's only 6 episodes, they don't have any moments between the two of them where she, like, gets kind of flustered around him, or I feel like they're just like, oh, she's the girl. And they even make fun of the fact that she's the girl.
I think she obviously likes him more than she admits to liking him, but not in like a romantic sense.
Yeah.
Because she likes to put off like an air of like she's kind of just dealing with him.
And I feel like you could turn that into a romantic subplot really easily. They just don't sell that part, even though they have multiple times where they're like, obviously really fancies him, and everyone's like, it is obvious. Like, it's not though. It's not like you have to. I am not unhappy at the idea of a romance plot between these two, but you have to actually do it.
And they haven't been so far.
The closest they get is in the final episode, where she's doing a lot of stuff to protect Dick.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they have a joke at the Zorro.
Oh,
Z.
yeah.
He's trying to carve out his name, Tommy Silversides, and no one can read it because
his name is Tommy Silversides, and he carved the entire thing into a piece of fabric.
Yes. And also, like, even just the Z would not work as well as the Zorro does, let alone a fucking whole name. And again, that is a really standard joke that happens in. I've seen it a bunch of times and things like, oh, you've got a dashing rogue. Well, they'll write your name with. They'll write a name with their rapier. Very rarely do I see that joke end up that it's completely illegible.
Right, it's usually just like it falls apart because they did too much.
Uh-huh. One thing that they have on here is he shows Tommy Silversides shows up at the pub. He's got a surprisingly good musical number
that he wrote himself according to the
that he wrote himself according to it, but I do not believe. And then when they're competing in different ways, Dick keeps talking about how wonderful his hair is.
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry, Noel Fielding does not have great hair.
For both of them, because that's one of the things that they judged each other on in the beginning, was how their hair wafts in the wind. Neither of them have a great head of hair.
And I feel like that might be I don't know. That might be a purposeful joke, but they don't sell it very well if it is.
Like, and it's not like either of their hair looks bad. It's just like, no, it's not what you're making it out to be, though, either. Like, you don't have, like, Fabio locks.
No, Noel just has kind of goth hair that hasn't changed since the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude just has forgettably long blonde hair and powder blue.
It doesn't have, like, enough body. It kind of hangs a little bit.
I really can't judge. I went bald 10 years ago, but but I took really good care of my hair when I did have it. I might have taken too good of care of my hair. It got regularly washed and showered, probably more than I should have with it being as fine as it was.
Either way, the fact remains that their hair isn't great.
Dick and Nell get kidnapped by the head of the syndicate, who we have seen before this. Turns out that the head of the syndicate is a fan of Dick's because she's read the pamphlets and she wants to basically use Idiot Highwayman as like a franchise of robbers across, because they're like charming highwaymen and everyone likes them, so they can get away with all sorts of crimes.
Well, that's the thing. As we've pointed out a couple times, like, the reality is the populace in this show kind of just treats them as a job to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, if people are just going to be okay with this, then I should probably just corner the market on these kind of people.
And because Dick is becoming famous through the pamphlets, he's become kind of a local hero of this tiny little town.
Mm-hmm. I also love him flirting with her.
Just have a thing going on. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, he has more chemistry with Nell's mother.
Absolutely has more chemistry with her than with Nell.
He has the most chemistry with the thief taker, but
yes,
they have great chemistry.
Agreed. But like romantic chemistry, definitely Nell's mom over Nell.
If nothing else, sexual chemistry.
Also, that's my ship now.
How much do we want to go into these last two episodes? It does have, I guess, kind of swerves.
Yeah, I mean, go watch it. I guess I don't want to give it away in case you do want to watch, because I have a feeling not a lot of people heard the name Dick Turpin and got excited the same way that me and you did.
Because we're like, we know just enough to know he's a famous highwayman. And that trailer, no one has heard of this show.
Right. So, like, I don't want to give away the ending. I do want to, like, it's not, like, mind-blowing. I'm not saving it because of that. I would just rather people go experience it themselves.
Yeah, everything that happened, I went, yeah, could have seen that coming. But I don't, that's the thing, I don't care that I have that thought, because either they twist it just enough that it works, as you said, or they just do the damn trope so well that, like, you understand there's a reason why that trope exists.
Yeah.
And it's relaxing. Ted Lasso got more stressful than this show, oddly enough, just because it actually, like, maybe not in the first season, but, like, that show deals with some shit.
That's the thing. Everything about the show is kind of good, too. It does have high points. Mostly episode 3.
And its low points are fine. Like,
yeah. All these other shows that we've compared it to, it doesn't have as high of highs, but it also generally, okay, some of those shows don't really have lows, but like,
no, Shurzy fucking.
But you get what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I mean, there's lows though in the sense where like those other shows also have more drama baked in and are harder to watch at times because of that, whereas this doesn't have that. Our descriptions of most of these episodes sounded more hardcore than what these episodes are.
This show gives me almost the same kind of relaxing vibes of Great British Bake Off, of like, I know there's what's supposed to be high stress things going on, but I can just kind of feel like my blood pressure relaxing as I'm watching this show.
You're like, they're only going to let this get so stressful, because otherwise it would completely break the vibe of the show.
I don't know how to, we're going to have to talk about this off air sometime. How the fuck do we do an episode where the entire point of the show is vibe? And the answer is maybe don't pick those shows anymore, but we also had not watched. Sometimes we pick episodes because we want to watch a show and we keep not getting around to it.
Yes.
I will say I'm almost kind of glad, because we were supposed to record this 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned before, and then didn't. And the day after we chose not to record that day, they greenlit season 2 publicly.
This is once again going to sound like I'm shitting on the show, but I'm kind of surprised it got a second season.
Oh, I'm absolutely surprised it got a second season. It was a weird little relaxing comedy based off a British highwayman that fucking no one in America knows about, on the subscription service that most people don't have because it's on fucking Apple.
Mm-hmm. Although people are, I think I think Severance season 2 is coming up, and so I think people are starting to renew their subscriptions and like re-going through season 1 before it pops up again.
Well, to be honest, Apple seems to be really good at just high quality. Like, they're not putting out the same amount of television as like Netflix seems to shit out, but the quality level's pretty good on everything I've watched on Apple.
Apparently, I need to finish Monarch because I've heard some really good reviews of it.
Oh, I forgot that was on that. Yeah. Well, and the therapist show with Harrison
Shrinking
Ford
is really good. I want season 2 like right now. I'm super curious what's going to happen, especially with the way season 1 ends. Holy fuck! Shrinking was really good.
I'm glad Jason Segel's back in comedy. Like, I'm glad he got to kind of stretch his wings and do other stuff for a while. Like, I like when.
And it's still definitely like in the dramedy vein, so he's still getting to do both. But
sure, and that's fine.
yeah.
It's just after How I Met Your Mother, he's like, I don't really want to do comedy for a while, and I like that he did other stuff, but he's a surprisingly funny dude. So
Harrison Ford is really good in it.
I've still not seen it. I just keep thinking of Jason Segel as a story of everyone laughing at a Harrison Ford scene and how he was walking by. He's like, I always knew I was funny. You weird grumpy man that I really love, Harrison Ford. Please just keep doing stuff and stop crashing planes. Like,
yes, he's really good in it though. Great show. Yeah, I really want season 2 to be here and Severance season 2. Give me more Severance right now, please.
I'm really sorry, the completely made up adventures of Dick Turpin, that we're ending this episode by talking about other shows. Go watch
Dick Turpin. Go name your car it.
Go watch this. You will not regret it. You won't change the world with it. That may be why I'm having so much of a hard time talking about it. It's not... Our Flag Means Death is seminal. Like, it changed the landscape of TV a little bit.
Shorzy's become a go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs is still the best piece of TV I've watched in maybe decades. Like...
And so that's the problem, is that Dick Turpin is coming after we covered all those.
And because, other than Res Dogs, it has nothing to do with Res Dogs. But, like, you know, Our Flag Means Death, Ted Lasso, not really Shoresy, maybe a little bit of Letterkenny, because that same, like, small-town characters kind of thing. Mm-hmm. All of these other shows that so stick their place in the world, Dick Turpin exists somehow in the middle, getting some of the best of all of them, but it doesn't stand out as well as I sometimes want it to because of that.
It also has nothing to do with Farscape, which is the other thing we've been talking about lately.
Which is what we're getting back to next time, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm really glad that we're spacing stuff in between. We definitely went like 3 times as long in between season 2 and 3 as we meant to.
But oh well.
But oh well. Next time... Farscape season 3. This show just gets fucking weirder from here. I'm so happy. Do you have anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
In the meantime, we're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Dismissed.
Hi everybody, General Tyler here. If you like the show, please hit subscribe however you're listening to us right now. Also, if you could rate and review us however you're listening to us right now, or preferably over at Apple Podcasts, we would super appreciate it, as the whole world is ran on algorithms and we want to be all up in them, getting our voice out to more places. Also, tell your friends. We always appreciate that. If you want to get in contact with us, ask us questions, give us comments, email us, generalnerderypod@gmail.com. You can also contact us through our website, www.generalnerdcast.com. While you're there, check out all of our back catalog, or click the links up at the top, as we are part of the Earworm Podcast Network. Go check out all of our sister shows. We're involved with most of them, so if you already like listening to us talk, it might be in your best interest. And if you want to check out everything from the network, head over to earworm.com, EARVVYRM.com. We'd super appreciate it. Love you all. Have a good one.